Perform the indicated operations. As you work the problems, compare the methods you use and think about how they are similar and how they are different. So we want to be bringing together all the different things that we've learned about fractions, the different operations in this problem, because we're going to have to do one of everything. Our first problem is going to be addition, and then we're going to multiply, then we're going to divide, and then we're going to subtract. So as we go through these, we're going to talk about the different strategies we need to use for each one of them. So our first problem, we're doing addition. Remember, any time you do adding or subtracting, you need a common denominator. So for these two denominators, for the 6 and the 4, the LCD is going to be, think about the smallest thing they both go into. Both 6 and 4 go evenly into 12. So that's the lowest common denominator. So we want to build each one of these to that LCD. So underneath here, let's go ahead and get started here. We know the denominator is going to be 12. And let's go ahead and do our building of our fractions. So in order to get 5/6 to have a 12 denominator, the 6 is going to need to be multiplied by 2. So is the numerator of 5. That's going to give me 10. For my other one, 1/4, in order for that to get a denominator of 12, we're going to have to multiply the denominator by 3, meaning we need to multiply the numerator by 3 as well. And 1 times 3 is 3. So now what we're going to be doing for our addition, we're going to take 10 twelfths and we're going to add 3 twelfths. So that would give us, remember the denominator stays the same as twelfths, and we add the numerators. That's going to give us 13 twelfths for our final answer. So remember, adding, we needed a common denominator. Denominator stays the same, and we add the numerators. Only the numerators get added. In our second problem, we have multiplication. Now remember, with multiplication, we don't need to come up with a common denominator. We look for common factors between numerators and denominators, and in this case there aren't any common factors, so we're just going to multiply straight across. So we have 5 times 1 is 5, we have 6 times 4 is 24, and that's a simplified fraction, so that's going to be our final answer there. Our next problem involves dividing. Now remember, when we divide, we're never going to actually divide. We're going to change the problem into multiplying. So let's go ahead and do that. We have 5/6, and instead of dividing, we're going to change division into multiplication, and we're going to change that second fraction, that divisor, we're going to take its reciprocal. We're going to change it to 4/1. And now we just go ahead and multiply. But notice here, we've got some common factors that we can cancel out before we multiply out. 6 and 4 share a common factor of 2. So I'm going to rewrite 4 as 2 times 2, and I'm going to rewrite 6 as 2 times 3. The 2's are going to cancel out, and now I'm just going to multiply what I have left. For my numerator, 5 times 2 gives me 10. And in my denominator, 3 times 1 gives me 3. And we can go ahead and leave our answer as an improper fraction, but it is in its simplest form. Our last problem involves subtraction. So just like our first problem where we were doing addition, we're going to need a common denominator again. And notice the fractions are exactly the same. We're just doing subtraction this time instead of addition. So rather than having to go through all the work again, I'm going to use the work I already did over here for finding my common denominators. Remember, we said 5/6 was the same thing as 10 twelfths? And we said 1/4 was the same thing as 3 twelfths, but this time we're just subtracting. And when we subtract, the denominator stays the same. 10 minus 3 this time, doing the operation just to the numerators, gives us our final answer of 7 twelfths. We want to make sure that that's in its simplest form, and in fact it is. So there's our final answer. Each problem we have to keep track of what's our process for the different operations we're being asked to do.